Good afternoon to everyone. This is Toni Weel from this time. It is a beautiful and sunny but still wet Florida. I'm happy to be here with you. My voice is I'm detoxing. My voice is cutting out once in a while. Doing my best on all fruits again. Still, actually. We have a guest with us, but I see that her sound is not working, so we'll just see if that can be fixed. I had a question, and I don't think I should answer it on here on the chat. It's from Alicia, and it's about her 9-year-old daughter who was a micro preemie and was 6 months in the NICU, and so she has all kinds of issues. But what stood out to me is that she is mainly on a keto diet, and we have to change that. She has a lot of issues, and can she heal? She definitely can get better, but we definitely have to get away from the keto diet.
I was
That
going to
is
say, can you
absolutely
clarify
not.
that,
I'm
Toni?
sorry?
Can you clarify that again? She's 9 years old and on keto,
Yes.
like purposely, or that's just kind of
Purposely to heal.
okay.
Because so many people say that you heal on keto. Keto started out for doing it only short term. And now it's just a diet fad. You know, you go into the stores and you see keto this and keto that. It's like it's a whole industry. It
Mm-hmm.
really is a whole industry, and it is so bad for our health.
It is. And does it like fall under does that come from ketosis is what people try to put it in as ketosis?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, anyone like even like runners, marathoners, those kinds of people, they go into ketosis for a very short period of time to achieve something. So even those people who are doing the ketosis, they're only doing it for the short period of time. So now somebody has created this whole fad diet, such as like Atkins and now keto, and they're keeping people on keto or in ketosis for long periods of time, which I don't know what they're trying to achieve. I mean, obviously it's marketing, it's money, it's like you said, you go to the store now and you see it everywhere.
Yeah,
So
then you have the recipes like it's keto approved, it's keto safe, and there's nothing safe about keto. I mean, I have clients that really messed up their bodies and their GI tract, and I did it too. I was on a keto diet too many years ago. Kind of call it a caveman diet, but it's pretty much similar. And the two doctors actually, I had an holistic physician, talking about 15, 20 years ago, a father and son. And they had this biblical diet, which was pretty similar, to be honest, to caveman diet, to keto. And they wanted me on that diet. But so intuitively, I was like, I have to be careful with this. So it was for me rather short term.
a
And
biblical diet?
yeah,
Did they read did they read
they
the Bible
actually
then?
they actually gave courses with that.
It
And
doesn't say anything in the Bible about eating meat.
I know, but they got all
Oh,
their patients on that diet, and they were like, "Well, if you want to heal, you should come to our meetings." And I was like, "No, no, thanks." And because I've never been a meat eater, and just the whole idea that they now tell you that you are going to heal on meat, and I didn't even know what I know now, not even 1% of it. But it didn't sit well with me. Both the son had a heart attack even before he was in his 50s, I think,
oh, geez.
and they both died within a few months of each other,
Oh,
the father
that's
and
sad.
son. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
That's very sad.
It is very sad. Now the father was already in his 80s and still practicing. He was a very, very sweet man, but he was already so much into that whole allopathic industry that, yeah,
And
it was
other
just too
sad
bad.
part about that is that he was in his 80s. So
Yeah,
people
he
are going to
was.
be like, but look, he made it into his 80s.
Yeah.
People, we really need to change the way we think about that. Making it to your 80s is nothing. Like, we're dying young in our 80s. You know, we need to be living a lot longer, into the hundreds, in thriving still, not I'm on life support, but I made it to 100. I mean, you know, we
Yeah,
really need to
that's
change our thought process here.
yeah. When I look at that, we knew in our family, all the women in our family, they all made it over 100. Women were pretty healthy. But then my mother passed away 89. Well, she 2 weeks shy of 89. My sister was in her mid 60s. So that's not a good sign. And like what you said, yeah, we should be able to live much, much longer. But, we have been messed up so much already from things that we thought we knew and we don't.
Mhm.
And the wrong information, and it keeps going. It keeps going. It's like kind of sad. I came across an email today. It was actually, let me find it, from Professor Spira. I think many people who are listening are familiar with him. He is from he teaches the mucusless diet, and I think he was also taught by Dr. Morse and went on this route. But he is amazing. He wrote a book, but he had this email, and he was like, we think that a lot of the foods that we eat, that they are rather healthy. And but he calls it deceptive mucus formers that actually may be a regular part of your diet. And one of the things that he mentioned is rice. Even when we transition, it is, and you see like vegan burgers, even the veggie burgers, that's rice and potato. Otherwise, it doesn't hold it together. Why does it hold it together? Well, like what he said, it's great for binding books as glue, but not so great for your transition to a healthier you.
Mhm.
Now, over the years, that there is one food that always came up, and those are the avocados. And he mentioned they are highly addictive and best to be avoided unless you are already hooked and need to transition gradually. Like I was absolutely hooked on avocados. I love them. Now I don't even like them anymore. What they do, they leave behind a slimy residue in the body. And then there's another one very popular in the vegan industry is tofu. Now, tofu is also slimy, and it is a big no if you're aiming for a mucus-free life. And a life free of fatigue and bloating. And here comes another one that we think it's like, well, it is gluten-free, so we can eat that. It's like corn and corn chips. It is difficult to eliminate and highly addictive unless you're already hooked, not recommended. And then you have the beans. That's also something we see a lot in the replacement burgers. And now we already know that when you are on a detox path, you don't eat these items. Sometimes the avocado may be sneaked in, but if you know that it is pretty mucus forming and leaves a slimy residue, then you don't eat it, or you should leave it out. But for transitioning, beans still come in. And what he says, it's starchy and it's mucus forming, but can be used sparingly in a transition diet, preferably with green leafy salads. And there was a post in one of the groups that I saw, and people think that cruciferous veggies also fit the label of green leafy salads. They do not. It's I learned to eat them raw, but I can't say it makes me feel good.
They're too hard for us to digest.
It is, but it was good. These rice, avocado, tofu, the corn and corn chips and beans, and also he mentioned another one is processed vegan meats, not deceptively mucus forming, but you shouldn't eat them for a long time if you want to avoid fatigue, bloating, and other health problems. They still need to be cooked, and they are cooked. I mean, it's a lab created, and anything that is processed, it has all kinds of additives. And I've tried them out. I've eaten them, and I felt bloated, I felt thirsty and tired. So not a good food if you want to, if you are on your health path and you want to have results. So it was good to, I mean, it came in this morning, and I thought, well, we need to mention that. Now, and I definitely look up on Facebook or YouTube, Professor Spira, Spira, and he has a lot of free events, free training. He has one coming up, are you fatigued or bloated? Eat these foods to get fast relief. And the next one is on Tuesday, September the 26th at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So it is, just look him up. I didn't put it in the show notes because it's easy to find. And so definitely, yeah. Look it up, what he does. I have even, and that is listed in the show notes, is the mucusless foods PDF. Yep. And I changed it a little from what he had brought out because I wanted to make sure that people are aware what are the foods that you can eat while detoxing, and what are the foods you can eat while transitioning, or also, as a maintenance diet, still with your high fruit, of course. And then there are all the foods that are absolutely damaging to your body, and it is all in that one file, and that is listed. And well, it's in there's a link there. It's mucuslessfoods.com.
Yeah, that's very important. If anyone listening hasn't checked that out, that has so much detailed information in it, and it's a very good PDF to have. I actually keep it on my phone in my Files app. That way I can refer to it as I need to, and I can also share it if anyone's ever asking for it as well. Or you can also just provide them the link to where Toni has it. But yeah, it's in our show notes. All that stuff too, like corn was always something I loved, and like I'll still partake with corn here and there, but a long time ago, I gave up putting butter and salt and everything on corn, but a lot of people will still eat these carnivorous, I can't say the word, broccoli and stuff like that, Brussels sprouts, but most people like them loaded up with butter and salt. Very rarely do people eat them either raw or plain, and they're just very hard to digest. I mean, most people will say like corn comes out the same way as it goes in. It looks like you never even chewed it. So you can see right there how hard it is on our body to digest the corn. We can't. But it was always my favorite, and I will still have corn here and there, like every so often, maybe a couple of years over the summer, but that's about it. I don't put anything on it anymore. To me, it's perfect just as it is. Very rarely do I eat broccoli though. I've never, unless it was cooked to death, then broccoli was fine, but raw broccoli was never something on my list of things I liked. And avocado, yeah, I mean, I like it, but they hurt my stomach.
Oh, that is interesting. I didn't know that.
Almost immediately. And sometimes even like my throat will feel like itchy, and then it hits my stomach like a rock. But I'm very sensitive to fat and grease in the first place. So anything with high fat content, my stomach, it just hurts so bad.
Well, that is good to know that it can do that. I feel the bloating, and God, a while ago I had some food, I don't even remember what it was, and it made me itchy. And it was at a vegan restaurant. It must have been something in there that the body said, nope, we're not going to do this. I need to go back to what I was, because I see that Alicia is here. We kind of got off track on the keto diet.
Yeah.
Alicia, I would love to talk with you. And in the description under the video, there is a link where you can sign up for a short free chat, so we can talk about a few things, and then we can discuss what we can do, and how I can help your daughter. So you can set up an appointment. You can also find me a messenger, but I would love if you set up an appointment so we have some time to talk about it and see what we can do. But she can definitely, when transitioning to more fruit and eventually mostly fruit, and I hope that she likes fruit, and definitely improve her situation, improve her health. And it would be a very interesting journey to see her improvements. So, yeah, we all started somewhere, and it's like I found the right people when I started. What is it now? 4.5 years ago, and I'm so happy I did, because it like everything comes together now with what we learned. Wouldn't you say, Sarah? It all makes so much sense.
100%. And I'm a very firm believer that when you're ready, you will find the right people and you will find the right path. That's the same as the way that I found Charlie and Colleen. That's the way that I found Toni. That's the way that Toni and I started this podcast. Like, she was doing it with Justin before, but then something happened where Justin couldn't do it anymore. But everything just lined up perfectly to where then Toni and I could do it. So everything happens in divine time.
Yeah, it does. And sometimes you have to go through, so many, what is it? Or take so many hurdles to get there, but you still get there. And, so when I think about all the years that I've been sick, I'm actually grateful for it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
And would you
And
really truly believe in what you're doing right now if you didn't already experience the other stuff?
exactly. Yeah. It doesn't mean that I'm perfect, but it's always a learning process.
Well, none of us are perfect. That's why we're all still here. But if one day I just disappear, that I finally made it.
I do you think we ever will, that we can say,
Eventually.
it is, I followed, I think his name is Chris Manley. He is a Breatharian, and he gives courses now too. And he said you cannot get to this point unless you are completely clean. You completely healed your body,
I
and
believe
that
that.
your body is in the state that it needs to be. And he worked on that for many, many years. And now he basically does without food, and sometimes even without drink, and sometimes even without sleep. And he is just an amazing at what the body can do.
I would
And
love to have him
even,
on the show.
huh?
It would be great if he would come on the show one
Yeah,
time.
I asked him, that was probably last year. I have to ask him again. He said yes then, but we never got to making an appointment. And but it is, yeah. I don't think I feel that I need to get to that point. But you hear also different opinions, because it's usually all opinions until you experience it yourself. I found that when I am on all fruit, there are days I barely even eat, and I realize that calorie wise, if you would count calorie, I didn't even have 500 calories, but I'm not hungry. Now, is this good or bad? We have people who are very thin, who lost a lot of weight, and then tell us what they eat, and you are like, well, that is not really that much, but they are not hungry. Now, do we get to the point that the less we eat and eventually the body is healing? Eventually, we get to the point that when the body heals, it also in your GI tract is healing, and you can absorb the food, that you will absorb whatever nutrition is being brought into the body, and it will use what it needs. Or, you have people who say, well, you could die if you eat that little. But I think we need to get to the point where our body really heals. And does it matter if you would eat very little? And we're talking about fruit. Now, for detoxing, we're talking about fruits and some lettuce. Is it that important to count calories? I never believed in that whole calorie thing. I thought it was crazy. And because a fruit calorie and a meat calorie or a fat calorie, you count calories, and I don't know, it didn't make sense to me. But that is an interesting, I say interesting a lot. It's sometimes it's even bizarre in how what kind of opinions are out there. Now, what would your idea be of the calories, and do we need to make sure we get our 2,000 or something calories, or would you say the body can heal with even little? How much do you eat?
I do not count calories. I eat and drink when I'm thirsty or hungry. I think when the body is at a state of where it has healed, or for the most part healed, like you're not fighting anything or whatnot, then your body will find the perfect balance. You won't be too thin. You won't be too, I don't want to say heavy, but I just lost my train of thought. I was going to say, okay, we're so used to seeing people that are very kind of meaty in the first place, or have lots of body mass, or stronger, seats are bigger. Everything just seems bigger now than what it should be, but we are not meaty people. We shouldn't be weighed down. Most people are slender and thin. That's the way that we were meant to be and what our bodies are supposed to be. So when you see someone that looks very thin, or if you start becoming very thin, we're programmed to think we're too thin then. But if your body's healing, you're filtering, your body's showing all the response, your hair is growing well, your eyes are clear, you're seeing all these different things, your skin is clear, then you're healthy. And that's just the way the mankind and womankind are supposed to be, and the way we're supposed to look like. We're not supposed to, be 300-400 pounds, 200 pounds. I mean, we're probably somewhere supposed to be like between 80 and, I don't know, 150 pounds, depending on, your height and stuff like that too. So we've been programmed to think that we're supposed to be bigger than what we really are, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mentioned that before, that in the Netherlands, I was considered overweight and my husband was considered normal. And we're in the United States and he is considered very skinny and I'm considered normal. Mm-hmm. And he is, to me, he is not skinny. Now, what I also heard from Chris Manley was that he mentioned, even though he was already, he considered himself healed and being a vegetarian, he said that doing it now for more years, that he feels like his skin is getting better, the muscle seems to be different. So even though he has been doing this for quite some time, he still sees changes while doing it longer. And now he feels that he can even do with less sleep. And what if sleeping is the body's chance to repair, to heal, to really work on the healing, and that when your body is healed, you don't need all that sleep anymore.
Or you need sleep. There's different studies on that too, where we should technically nap during the day for a few hours and then maybe nap a little bit more in the evening. And then some people will then sleep again, say from the hours of 2 to 5 or something like that. So maybe it's we're not supposed to have that full 8 hours at one time, or some people get 5, some people get 10. It just really depends, I guess, where you are in that healing process. But the fact of just allowing your body to rest when it needs to, obviously, the more healing you need to do, the more your body does need to rest. But if you have a well-ran factory, then you don't have so much that you need to have downtime for, so that you can go in and clean up those areas.
Yeah, and we live a life where so many things have to be done. It is like, I know people, they get up at 6 and they have to work, but kids to school, kids to all kinds of events they have to be taken to, and still a full-time job. And it's whole life is actually so unnatural.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it makes it difficult to heal. And I hear from people, I want to go to the gym, and it's like people are running around already, constantly. I can see where you live in a city and you have a job where you sit on a chair for 8 to 12 hours, that you want to go to a gym. But then again, there's always, I would think, options to walk. And walking is actually one of the best exercises that you can do.
Absolutely. Aside from swimming, but that's if you're not swimming in a chlorinated, pool. Swimming
Yeah.
is very good for you too. I mean, I live in an area where there's a lot of people that still work the land, and I have family members that still work the land. In other words, they're farmers. Most of the farmers I know, none of them ever go to the gym, and most of them could work work harder and longer than any of those people I know that do go to gyms. And they do this well up into their 70s and 80s and even 90s. Like we know a couple of them that are in their 90s, and they're still out there every single day, like running their tractors, taking care of their plants, doing all this stuff, and just that constant movement. That's the other thing I think, as humans, we have way too much sedentary time. We really need to be walking around, moving, bending over, picking up things, and just doing stuff like that to keep our muscles the way they should be. Some people do live in cities and they don't have that much opportunity, but like you said, you can definitely still walk.
Yeah, it is the walking, but I think working, what you mentioned about, people working out on a farm, it's like they get the grounding, they are out in nature, they breathe different air. So yeah.
Yeah, the air is very important. The fresh air is just so important, being in the sun. And most people will wear boots or shoes or something like that. A lot of people wear the rubber muck boots, but you're still touching the earth. Your skin is touching the earth. You're picking up things, you're touching plants, you're in nature. All of that is so important. So if you could take your shoes off and maybe walk around while you're doing it too, I think that's the best thing you possibly can do, is get outside, get away from your monitors, your phones, and things like that. I've had the hardest time trying to get back on social media, like this whole summer. I it's almost like I just can't do it anymore. Even if I do have any of the time, I sit down, I try to do it, I can't do it. I have no idea why I can't do it, but maybe it'll change come winter time. But it's like let's go do something else. Let's go outside, or let's go somewhere, or I'm going to have a conversation with somebody. And those are all the things we should be doing. And as much as I miss everyone so much, and, just linking up with everybody, it's just something that has happened. And I'm very happy with that too. And I wish everybody would find that too, and just be outside and just enjoy the stars at night and enjoy that air, because it is so good for you. And you'll hear people say like there's pollution and you shouldn't be doing that and everything. we are strengthening our bodies by doing this, by eating the fruits, by being in the sun, by breathing that air. You are becoming stronger. And some people, yes, you do have to detox and you do have to go through it, and it's a painful process. But when you come out on the other side, you hear about all this pandemic stuff that could be coming back or something like that. To me, that's when more than ever we should be turning to our fruits and our fresh air and our sunlight and our grounding. So that way, if anything like this ever comes back at us again, it's not going to affect us, or it's not going to affect us on like a bad level, or I don't know the word for it, but it's not going to affect us that much. So I think more than ever, this is when we should be out doing all this stuff for our bodies. And most of us, it's summertime now. We are going into fall, or some people are coming out of the winter. And this is the time when you should be really just enjoying everything outside.
It doesn't matter what season it is, actually, but yeah, if you are in a colder area, it is nicer to be out in the summer than in the winter with snow.
Just depends on how much you get used to it. I forget too, is the cold is detoxifying, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. And then the sun is acidic. Is it acidic? And then the cold is alkaline? Please correct me.
That is, yes.
Okay, so that's correct. And I do hear this too, like, oh, we're coming into cold and flu season. No, we're not. We're coming into the detox season, where the cold is going to start detoxing you, is what it is. So if you're getting sick every winter or every time that temperature drops or anything, you have some detoxing you need to do.
Yeah, and that usually all the colds come up after all the holidays, when we could not resist to eat the foods that are not helping us,
Creating the mucus.
and usually too much. And it goes from Halloween to Thanksgiving to Christmas and New Year's with a lot of alcohol.
And keeping us busy and full of foods we shouldn't be eating, and the alcohols that we shouldn't be partaking in.
No, but can we really avoid it? We have family life. I know we can limit it, and if you live by yourself, it's always much easier. I absolutely feel for the people who have to cook every night, and often the foods they don't, well, usually the foods they don't want to eat. But and having a family who refuses to get into more fruit, or tells you you're crazy if you do that, and you're killing yourself. I mean, it is not that easy, and that is something we need to respect too, and find our ways around it. We know from people that we do know is like, their family comes around slowly. And I think the first step would be make some great vegan meals, when you have to cook and have a dehydrator. My gosh, I can make amazing things using a dehydrator, and you can still detox with it.
Or
So
vegetarian meals at this point too. I cannot crack an egg. Like it just makes me absolutely sick. So eggs would be completely out for me. But like if you're at somebody's house or whatever, and they're just slowly transitioning, or it's your own family, start transitioning with like vegetarian meals.
yeah.
And then from that, move into like your whole foods. And that's the other thing too, is watch your wording with family too, because as soon as you say vegan, that's like a stigmatized word. Like we don't even like to use it either. So start with like, hey, we're going to start making foods that we can grow ourselves eventually, or just kind of come about it at a different way, because a lot of those are trigger words for a lot of people, and they don't want to hear it in the first place, and then they tend to shut down right away. But now more than ever is a good time to start learning how to eat from what you can grow yourself, or call it living off the land type deal, and just see what kind of meals and stuff like that you can come from that. And if you're not in a state where you have to detox right away because of some kind of dis-ease, then take your time transitioning with your family and getting them on board and things like that. They will eventually start feeling good from eating that way, and hopefully they'll start putting everything all together. There was this one vegan athlete, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he said, eat the good stuff first and then eat whatever you want after it, because eventually your body's going to only want that good stuff, and it's going to start hating that bad stuff, and the bad stuff's going to start tasting nasty to you anyway.
Yeah, that's how it works. Even the things we used to like, we don't like anymore.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And that was actually quite a revelation for my husband. It's like, I always liked this, and now it's like, no.
Nope, I don't like salt. I know, and that's a lot of people's big thing, but salt to me is like, I don't want to say it hurts my tongue, but it's almost like, oh, what the, like, how did we ever do this before?
Yeah.
And maybe it's just, it's too salty. Maybe if it was like a different salt, but yeah, I cannot at all salt. And milk, has anybody been around milk lately? Doesn't it all just smell nasty and sour? Like, I'm like, is this is fresh? And they're like, well, it's not expired yet. I'm like, it smells horrible. How are you drinking this?
Yeah, I always hated milk. So,
Mm-hmm.
but the thing is, I always like cheese.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even smell nice.
Cheese smells horrible, but I think
It does, and it's very salty. And that is the other thing, once you are on eating fruit and salad, I mean, I was a salt eater. I used more salt on my food than anyone else I knew. And but if you had too much salt in something at one time, you get sick. You actually feel physically sick.
Absolutely. Well, cheese has that thing in it. I can't think of why. Where it makes you feel good. It's almost like that drug where it does something to your brain.
Yeah.
I can't think of the regular word for it, but it's almost like what, equivalent to heroin or something like that.
Yeah.
So it is like it tricks our mind into thinking it is good when really it's just like rubber in your mouth in the first place. I don't know.
And
Maybe I've never had good cheese before.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm from the Netherlands, so we have the most amazing cheese.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it in more than 5 years.
Yeah.
And when I started is you have the store where we go to get to the produce, you have to go through an aisle, and that's all cheese. So
Like
when
they're
I just
tempting you.
started, I really had to avoid that aisle to get to the produce section.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in America. I've not really experienced any other cuisines besides like food from India or Chinese food, Mexican food, that kind of stuff. But even then, it's all been Americanized in the first place. So I don't really have a very large palate for food.
No, and do we need it?
Yeah.
It's same as with pepper. I always use pepper in all these dishes, and even if I had a cooked meal, I haven't used pepper in probably 5 years.
I never liked pepper.
It's and I always loved curry, and it's like it's less and less appealing.
Mm-hmm.
So your body starts changing, and if you want it or not,
Yeah, it
you can
does,
think
and all for the good.
you can think that you loved a certain food and that you really want to eat it, and it's like, no, it doesn't do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I was thinking, it is our taste buds, follow our brain, but our body doesn't like it, so there's a disconnect. And there is, we eat things that we think that we like and want to eat, and then the body gets dehydrated and bloated, and like you said, stomach ache with avocados. And but now we need to learn to listen to the body, and I love going to restaurants. Don't ask me why, trying out different foods, different from different countries, always like that. And now even that is no longer appealing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's
It's
really
like,
weird the
yeah,
addiction that we have with food, whether it be like we're in a restaurant or it's a holiday time, or how it made us feel or how it helped us cope with something. I mean, there's all different types of things, and there's memes and jokes and stuff about like when your wife is acting all crazy, sometimes she just needs a snack, and it's like, so we've been programmed to just think all of that all the time, like it comes everywhere from all different angles for us. Food is, it's always in our face, and there's so much marketing behind food too, and they do it that way. I mean,
yeah,
they're corporations that their only duty is to make money, and they'll do whatever which way they can to do it. Dave has has a comment on here where he says that he got the Cell Salt book that you mentioned a couple shows ago.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
very good. The Biochemic prescriber.
Yep.
It's
Uh,
very, very simple, it's but it's also very clear, and you can even see on one's face what cell salts are missing.
mhm.
And that reminded me of I always had, my whole life, I had a homeopathic doctor. And I didn't go there often, but sometimes I had symptoms that I was fed up with. And then I was like, yeah, I have to go to him. He was the kind of doctor who always said, what do you think yourself? Well, I can tell you every time I got out of that office, I had no symptoms left. So, but he always prescribed me the same homeopathic and cell salt thing.
That's
And so
interesting.
that goes as an throughout my whole life. It's and when I read this cell salt book, and I was like, yeah, there it is. Still need it.
That is
Didn't
very interesting.
didn't take it. Okay, Sebastian is asking the John Rose protocol. We don't do anything with that protocol. I think you're asking, why do you think he recommends having some oil for not having a gallbladder, or for having once you have a gallbladder attack during solid food vacation?
That's
Um,
all you. I've heard of John Rose. I don't know anything about John Rose, but as far as oil is oil, no matter what kind of oil. Um, I
It is,
avoid oil.
yeah. I had a gallbladder attack. I was 19 years old. It was 2 months, 3 months after I had given birth, and I had the first gallbladder attack. And I can tell you that is very painful, very, very painful. And it was for a year, it was like, it went from once a month to once a week to pretty much every day, to a point that even drinking some water would cause a gallbladder attack. So eventually I had an emergency surgery, and they found 50 something little stones in the gallbladder and the areas around, and they took the gallbladder out, which I didn't know until years later, actually. That's, they still do that. You have anything that remotely looks like a pain near or from the gallbladder, they take your gallbladder out. Not what you want. But even then, and we're talking about the 70s, the early 70s, there was a homeopathic doctor, not the one I had. There was another one there in town, and he had a procedure with drinking oh, I don't know how much oil, but a lot of glasses to get the stones out that way. It's still being used, and Dr. Morse is definitely not a fan of it. Once you have a gallbladder attack, then yeah, it is time to really, really change your diet. There are some herbs that can help with it. I don't know which one it is right from the top of my head, but there is a liver cleanse, liver and gallbladder cleanse, and it is with, there is some oil involved, and Dr. Morse says you can use it once in a while. There are people, they do that monthly. That's absolutely a big no because of all the oils. Now, there is another thing, and that's not even herbs. Apples can actually soften the stones, so then the stones can come out easier. So he had a gallbladder attack during a fruitarian detox. Yeah, it's I would say go, yeah, I would need to know more about you and what other problems that you have. And I would go for apple juice. Apple juice with lemon, and see how that goes, because it is a fruitarian detox. It's like, okay, what fruit is it? Was there any fat in the fruits? I see people who say they're on a detox and they eat avocados. Avocados are extremely high in fats. So that is a big no. So I would need to have more details to give you a better answer. But I would stay away from the John Rose protocol. It's it's not healthy. You want to heal the body, and that's what you said. You know, it's an oil. Dave, you asked on where can I find the cell salts my body lacks? Well, you have to go into the book, and let me see. It gives you an idea about, if I have here the Colcaceria fluor, the clinical conditions for that is cal fluor, is a short word, weak enamel of the teeth, cracks in gums, receded gums, prolapse uterus, varicose veins, uterus displacement, hernia, fistula, piles, don't know what that is, internal hemorrhoids, anal fissures, spurs in joints. You know, so a lot that has to do with the calcium in your body. Now, there's even a cataract, rough and cracked skin, nutty lymphatic glands, calcification of glands, sagging of facial tissues, weakness in tendons and ligaments, cysts, fibroids, and heart warts. So that is all has to do with cal fluor. Flour. No, it was, which one was it? Yeah, cal fluor. So that is how, and this was what I just read in that little book was on page 23. So you have to see, you know, okay, what are your symptoms, and this can show what you lack. I also found a book that actually, and that was quite interesting. That was about your astrology and the cell salts. And when you type in on YouTube Santos Bonacci and cell salts, he has 3 videos where he is being interviewed. I didn't see it on his channel, and he goes deeper into that. So that was quite interesting. Oh, find to purchase. Go on, you can go on Amazon and you type in cell salts. I found one that I feel was very affordable, and that was called Biochemic 12 tissue salts. It just on, I buy stuff on Amazon that was just, you know, easier. So that is where you can find it. And there is what brand do I have here? I have from BM. And there is another one that has all the 12 cell salts in one. That's called Total Tissue Cell Salt Mineral Combination. Now, it is the reason that I think I have to mention that before people who are listening here and know about Dr. Morse, who says inorganic minerals cannot be used by the body. Dr. Morse did have a video about cell salts, and he is like, yeah, maybe. But then Patty Lager, she started talking about it, and it's because of what she was telling us that I got into this. So, and Patty is a professor who works with Dr. Morse. They also work together on a book. So I take her advice. Yeah, I feel that was important and that I needed to do this. I the funny thing is, I rarely listened to her live shows on Friday, and it was because I always missed it, and this was the first time it's like, oh, okay, she is on now, I should listen. And that was when she started talking about cell salts. So I was like, well, this had to come to me at that time. It had to come in front of me, so I took that seriously, and bought a few books and started reading it, and yeah, it makes sense. So the liver voice of Flush of Dr. Morse, I think it does. I do have it in my ebook, and if you are, I don't know if you are in the Fans of Dr. Morse group, but if you go in that Facebook group, you go to the what is it, files, you will find that file, and it is, and otherwise message me or send me an email and I sent the file to you. Yes, Patty, she said she didn't have that much time for it anymore. But Patty does do iris reading and health sessions, but hey, I do too. So I can help you with that. He just sent me a message, and we can even set up a free chat first, so you learn a bit more about how I work, and we can go from there.
Yeah, definitely get a hold of this if you are having issues, and reach out to Toni. You definitely need some guidance, it sounds like, and Toni's definitely gonna need more information about you in order to move forward with this. It is hard to just kind of go through the chat and read kind of what's going on. It's always better just to have a quick call and really see what we can cover during that call for you.
I see what you are saying, Sebastian, about that you had the gallbladder attack after being 6 months of zero fats, and then you ate an avocado and you got the gallbladder attack. As fats help the bile flow that was stagnant. I would think that is what the apples would do too. And because we don't need the amount of fats in our diet, so your body was definitely telling you, like, no. But how did you know that the bile was stagnant? I mean, what symptoms did it give you? And we cannot really do counseling, at this time, on a podcast. That is more for an one-on-one call where we can go into more details. So if you go to heal.me, HEAL.me, and then / Toni Weel, TONIWEEL, you can free check for the free discovery call, and make an appointment on what day works for you. You will see the time in your time zone, so that you don't have to calculate, what time zone I am in, because I think we have a little difference with where you are at. I have new neighbors, and they take the radio outside and play it so loud.
And
that at
sometimes you might want to
times,
hear it too.
yeah, at times I just have to put on my music to, to not get so distracted, with that kind of noise. You try to work and it's very distracting. But if I put my own music on, that is not distracting. I actually always studied with music on.
Hmm.
My parents thought I was crazy, but yeah.
A lot of people do that, or they sleep with like a sound machine or a fan in the background, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I see that you put the link up there, but I think there's a space in there, so the link doesn't work.
It's not, I was trying to copy and actually paste it, so I was just putting
Oh,
it there.
okay.
Because when I
Well, it is
copied and
it is in the description.
yeah, when I
Yeah.
copy pasted it, it was so big that it wouldn't allow me to, it was over, I guess, 1,000 characters or something. Not 1,000. What am I talking about? 100. On there. Yep.
You went to your neighbors to shut up the music. Yeah, well, that won't work with these people. It's like I have some weird
Yeah.
neighbors in the last the last year.
Yeah, because
Oh
some
well.
Americans can be kind of ballsy, bold, and think their stuff doesn't stink.
Yeah, well, you know what? I look at it this way. Like I said, we always have to learn something about us. And if it irritates us, then why? And look at yourself. What can you change? What can I change to not be irritated by stuff like this that is a kind of an intrusion? And
Mhm.
so yeah, maybe, I always thought I'm a pretty patient person, but there may be times I'm lacking.
It's very, I mean, it's so, that is also one of the hardest things is to actually take a look at yourself. What they say, like, everything starts with the man in the mirror, like Michael Jackson said. And it's
Yeah.
so hard to do that. It's so hard to know that all these things come from within you.
Well, I actually find it interesting.
Hmm.
And it is often that I talk about it with my husband, and he is something like he sometimes has like, why is that important? It's like, yeah, well, it is important. I want to figure this out.
Yeah.
So, Sebastian asked, do you recommend juice feast? Sure. There are people who would say you need to eat the fruit because you need the fibers. Let's say that you have this detox pyramid. You start at the bottom, and you have your standard diet. Then you go into leaving certain things out. The meat, dairy, and eggs, and then the cooked foods, and then you go to to a the vegan, well, section in that pyramid, and still cooked. And from there you go to raw vegan, and then you go to fruit, all fruit. Oh no, all fruit and salads, and then you go to all fruit, and then you go to your juices. And the next step would be a water fast, and the next step would be a dry fast. No, and I'm not really into dry fasting. And if you do it, never do it more than 24 to 36 hours. So, no, I didn't know that Michael Jackson was a fruitarian.
Mhm.
But so yeah, that is where the level of a juice feast is. And the funny thing is, if you break the juice fast, it doesn't mean that you can go back to oh, I did a juice fast for, well, what is it, 2 or 3 weeks, and now I can eat everything again. No, you go back from that pyramid down the same way as you went up. So that would mean that you break that juice fast with fruit, with high liquid fruits.
Mhm.
And from there you go to eating the fruits, and then to eating the fruits and the salads.
Okay.
So that is what I recommend, because that is, the only thing that really makes sense. You go
Mhm.
up the same way as you go down from the pyramid the same way as you went up.
Absolutely. Except for you don't go all the way to the bottom anymore.
No. We
Stop at the fruit and salad. And
yeah.
I mean,
And if you have, like, I can see with holidays or um parties, what is it, whatever celebration there is, keep in mind that mucusless foods list, and but stay with the vegan. Don't go back into meat and dairy and eggs. It won't do your body any good.
nope.
So
My biggest is like I'll still hit up the potatoes and the yams, and I have had some bread here and there. But I mean, it's all the worst I'm getting in it is going to be some flour and oil. And I always think, yeah, it smells good, it feels good in my mouth. It hurt it, and it always ends up hurting me. So I
well,
mean,
that's clear
you
then.
pay. Just know it's your choice, and you
Yeah.
pay one way or another.
Yeah, I always say I always pay for it one way or another.
Yeah.
So it's
That, and and the nuts and the seeds too. I mean, we've talked about those many times in different shows, but those are just loaded up with fat, and most people do not have just, I'm going to have 4 cashews and that's it. Usually we have a lot more than
yeah,
that.
that is it. You if you buy a bag of chips or a bag of nuts, it's like I could eat a whole bag of nuts. That was more than a handful.
Hmm.
And my gosh, these roasted curry cashews. I haven't had them in more than 4 years. So.
Yeah, I've never had them actually. I always just like the regular ones, but the cashews I can't really do. But like a sunflower seed, especially if it's still in the shell, I can do some of those. Those actually help limit you more because you're not doing them by the handful. You actually really have to work to get them.
Yeah.
But yeah, we never have nuts and seeds in the home.
No, I tell you, I was big on nuts and seeds because I made crackers and I made the delicious sauces with cashews, and I bought them in bulk.
Yeah. I
By
mean, everybody
bags.
did. You thought it was the good thing, but
Yeah, and
nuts and
raw
seeds are
and
for the
sprouted.
starving birds, in my opinion.
Yeah, but you know what? They were raw, they were sprouted. So I thought I was doing a good thing. Well, the first thing what Dr. Morse said was leave the nuts and the seeds out and you'll see improvement. And I did.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
is actually when I saw improvement. So
The other thing too is if you take out the processing of all the nuts, how many people are actually going to go out there and crack open that smelly walnut shell, the green walnut shell, which I did learn that is full of iodine technically, so you could use that for first aid if you ever needed to. But you have to go out there, crack that thing open. It smells horrible. Then you have to dry it out. Then you can finally get to that walnut. So how many of those walnuts are you really going to sit there and eat in the first place?
yeah.
Or say you're somewhere where cashews grow. How many of those, I think they look like a pod that's part of the flower or something like that. You have to go in there and open that up. And then you have to pull out that one little cashew that's in there. Or I may be talking about stuff I don't truly know about. I have no idea how many cashews are in there, but there's a
No,
whole
it's actually
process of doing it.
yeah, it's actually different. The cashew is like a little thing that hangs under the fruit.
Yeah, it's like a
It's
pod or
really,
something, isn't
yeah,
it?
it's a really weird thing, and I have seen the people who work with that stuff to get it ready for us, and their hands are completely like damaged
Yeah,
because of all the things that come out of it.
exactly.
It's
So
not a great industry, and I think with all the nuts, the hazelnuts, we had these trees where I lived. So when you saw these hazelnuts on the street, you took them home, opened them up, and you could eat them. And there's something to say for that. But when I see all the processes that all these nuts have to go through, I have a black walnut tree, and yeah, it has a bunch of nuts. They're black. I can't even open them. we tried with a hammer, we tried all kinds of ways, and we were just like, I don't know what it is, but I've been told it's a black walnut. So
Yeah, they come in that green, it's like a green ball.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then if it cracks open or gets on your skin, it smells really bad. And then
okay.
you have to dry it out before you can even crack it. Like it has to dry for weeks. So it's not like you can just go out and forage like that. I mean, think about the way blueberries grow. There's a whole bush of them. You can just sit there and eat like with no problem. Or if you
Well,
find an
yeah,
apple tree.
that's that's what we did as kid on our way to school. We
Yep.
walked along a path that had blackberries and raspberries. Now we couldn't do it before we went to school.
Yeah, you
But
have it all over
when
your
we came
skin.
back from school, yeah, definitely,
Yeah. And
definitely. We loaded
mulberries and
up.
apples or
Yeah,
cherries, like you can just sit there and you can just eat them. You don't have
yeah,
to crack anything open. You don't have to, get a special tool. Or the same with your vegetables. Like you have to replant them every single year.
yeah.
And, is that the way we're really supposed to do stuff? So I don't know. I mean, like
Yeah.
when you talked about like a biblical diet, to me, after reading the Bible and looking into it further, especially under Charlie's teachings of the Bible decodes, it only makes sense that it's just fruit. And it's really that simple. Everything is supposed to be really simple. We're the only people that complicate everything.
Yeah, and you know
Simple
what, when you
enjoys.
don't have your 3 meals, like, you sit down for an hour or so and have your meal. I just grab something when I'm like, yeah, I could eat something. It frees up time.
Yeah. Oh
No
yeah.
cooking.
Yeah.
There is,
Exactly.
yeah.
And you eat when you're, I mean, I should definitely drink more water. We've discussed this before that I'm pretty bad at drinking water. I try very hard all the time, but I want my juices. And so when I'm thirsty, I'll turn to a juice. I do try to drink some water before, but it doesn't always work out that way. But we definitely have to stay hydrated. And by staying hydrated, especially on a cellular level with your juices or your watery fruits, it does curb that hunger. Because don't forget, like hunger also will appear when you're dehydrated. Those are like signals, and we get confused as to really what they are. So when you're taking in your juices and you're eating your juicy fruits, then you won't be getting those hunger pains so much once you are truly hydrated. And it's not juicy fruit as in the gum. You want fruits that are juicy. Mhm.
Yeah, and with that, we can make an end to our podcast.
One more thing I want to hit on is that Dave said earlier in the chat that he started a 72-hour water fast. So
Very
awesome. Dave is
good. Very
definitely
good.
lined up for that.
Yeah, very good.
And he's doing
I
it for the
love I
equinox.
love water fast. It makes so much easier. There is no distraction. There is no what shall I eat? Which fruit do I want? Do I want this? Do I want that? It's like, no, just water.
It's simple.
What are you drinking, Toni? Just water. What are you eating? Oh, just water.
Yeah.
Love it.
Hey, speaking of just water, I have started to research why they say we shouldn't drink rainwater. I don't know, something came to me, and I'm not saying that I do because I never have, but I have started to dive down the rabbit hole of rainwater. That because plants thrive so much better when you give them rainwater versus that water out of your hose.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we do too. And I started getting into that whole thing, especially with that shampoo lily. Mine have fully come, they're growing. I have 4 of them now, but they don't have the pod yet. So I don't know if you have the pods on yours yet too for that shampoo lily ginger plant.
I haven't checked yet. I will do that this
Okay.
week.
Definitely check, because I've thought about collecting rainwater to take, I don't want to say take a shower with because I don't have a way to do that, but maybe take a bath in rainwater or rinse my hair in rainwater especially if I get this shampoo ginger thing, I'm going to wash my hair with it. And I'm going to do it with rainwater in that. And that's going to be an experiment I'm going to kind of do for myself and see what happens.
Yeah, I do believe that there's a lot of junk in the rain.
But
So
what, though?
I don't know if I would do it. I remember I always loved walking in the rain, and it was probably 15 years ago, something. I walked in the rain, or I got caught by a big rainstorm. It wasn't my choice, and it was burning on my skin.
Really?
So since then, I'm not, I'm not so crazy about being in the rain. Now, of course, you can collect rainwater and put it through a filter.
Yep.
So yeah.
Sebastian says that I collect the rainwater for drinking after a day of rain, so it's more clean of the chemicals in the rain. I assume that means there's no chemicals in the rainwater, but I'm not sure. And then also the water of my shower leaves my skin dry. And that's how I feel too, if I'm ever in that. And I have a shower filter and everything. I don't know. I don't like it on my skin. But when did you feel that, Toni, when you where the rain was burning your skin? How long ago was that?
Probably 15 years ago.
Okay.
10, 15,
maybe next time
yeah.
it rains, try it again, see if it burns or not, because maybe, and this is just a thought, I have no proof of this whatsoever, but maybe rain is detoxing.
Okay, next time it will rain this afternoon. I will stand out in the rain.
Let's see what hey, maybe if you start doing that, you'll start scaring your neighbors away. Make sure to go out and vacuum your driveway later too, okay? I love the show, and thank you all so much, and much love to everybody here. And Toni, so much gnosis. I'm so grateful for you and everyone in the chat.
Well, I am grateful for you and for being here. So much love to you and everyone listening. And I would say till the next time. The next time we have scheduled Mariah Maza, I think is her last name. She is a fruitarian. She's also a counselor. She works with the hygienic diet. But she is building a fruit farm, and we are going to talk about that.
Wonderful.
So
I have
that is
actually
next week.
Yeah, I grabbed one of our pawpaw trees and I got the seed from it. And one of our neighbors has a full-size apple tree, and the apples look amazing. And so they gave me one of their apples too, and I've taken the seeds out of it. So maybe this will be great to talk to them, because I'm so interested in permaculture, which is permanent agriculture. So yep. All right. Much love to everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here, and till the next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.